We have a new Cup champ. Let's talk about it right now. Good evening, everyone. It is Monday night, September 28th, 2020, and the Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champions. After a hard-fought 6 games in the Stanley Cup final, they are raising the trophy for Tampa Bay for their second time. And welcome to this edition of Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive postgame. Chat with us along with fellow hockey fans all over the world on the YouTube chat, on the page or the app, and of course follow us on the social at tealtownusa.com. Pleased to be joined tonight by Mr. AJ Strong. How are you, bud?
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Understandable, though, considering how Dallas looked in this game. I mean, not to get right into it, but man, oh man, when you have the what, 7 shots on goal, like, you know, halfway through regulation, I mean, that's just yikes.
Did you do any prep?
Yes, I did do some prep. Thank you very much. Well, you came on at the last minute, but you know what? I came on the
Lord.
Okay. Anyways, 7 shots on goal during halfway through this game. I mean, what do you think happened? I mean, was Tampa Bay just clamping down or what?
Well, I mean, can't score if you don't shoot, boys. And, you know, coming into this, Tampa had outshot the Stars through the first 5 games, 175 to 136. That's a pretty significant differential when you take into account that both teams, including through tonight, I haven't looked at the final numbers, but you're talking about both teams had almost the same exact amount of power play opportunities. Last time I looked, it was Tampa 19, Dallas 18. The difference being Dallas converted 1.
Yep. Tampa
converted 7. That's a huge difference. Another difference being is that the big boys, you know, I mean, Sagan played like a beast the last couple of games, but, you know, where was Jamie Benn? Where Heiskanen, Klingberg? I mean, there were some guys that it would have been nice to see them show up. It was a shutout tonight.
Yep.
And this might bake your noodle. The last 6 goals scored by the Dallas Stars were scored by Joe Pavelski and Corey Perry. Okay? Let that sink in for a moment, shall we? I mean, dear Lord. But I mean, you kind of saw it early that you had Dallas getting into penalty trouble early. It was just, you know, it's happy for Goodrow. Happy, you know, glad to see him. You think about where he started with the Barracuda as a 4th-line plug, and then he was, weighed down on the 4th line with the Sharks with guys like Michael Haley or whatever. But he comes along and has the biggest goal of his life just over a year ago.
Yeah.
And I'm quite sure, you know, coming into just before he got traded, it's like things weren't going well. The locker room, as has been explained numerous times by many people, the locker room for the Sharks was disjointed and fractured, and dude ends up winning the cup, you know, through this trade. Now, of course, Tampa won this because that means that the pick that Wilson got is the lowest possible pick he could have gotten, because that's so 2020 for the Sharks. Like, everything that could have went wrong went wrong. In fact, I think I even mentioned that on the Pucknologist once we got down to the final 4 teams. I said,
right,
Tampa's going to win this because it would ensure that Wilson gets the worst pick possible.
Yeah. No. And you know, we were hoping, you know, we would see the Columbus Blue Jackets try to do the sequel. That didn't happen. You know, then you saw the upstart Islanders, they didn't give it a chance. I really thought how Dallas took out Colorado and Vegas, they had a shot at this. But, guys that weren't named, the big guys that weren't named Joe Pavelski, like you said, they didn't show up. And they didn't show up on the power play, and it cost them. And even tonight, when they took a penalty, it ends up being the cup-winning goal, Braden Point, from Kucherov and Hedman at 12:23. He takes a high shot, gets the rebound, puts it in, and for Point, that's his 14th goal. So he ends up being the leading goal scorer of the Cup final, but also one of the few to score 5 in the final, the most. I mean, he goes with O'Reilly, Brad Marchand, Hartnell, Andy McDonald, and of course former Shark Jeff Friesen, who won it in '03, who scored 5 goals in the Cup final.
You gotta give it a. I'm to be quite honest, I'm a little shocked. Point did not win the Smythe.
Yeah.
But I understand giving it to Hedman. The other thing that I think you have to factor into the equation too is they did all this without Stamkos played less than 3 minutes of the final. Out of all the games, 6 games, he played less than 3 minutes, and the dude scored.
Right. He had his impact even with just 3 minutes in. But that's the thing with Tampa. You saw Palat score. You saw Point score. You saw Kucherov score. Hedman. Even Sergachev. All the big guys showed up, especially for this final.
Well, dude, you know who also showed up? Hudobin.
Oh, I mean, give credit to...
The dude played like every single game save one.
And Vasilevsky for Tampa as well did unreal stuff for the Lightning. But yeah, give credit to Khudobin because he put the Dallas Stars on his back, honestly. I mean, between him and Joe Pavelski, those two, I thought, and yeah, you could throw in Heiskanen and Klingberg, and we mentioned this before, but, if it weren't for Pavs, if it weren't for Khudobin, where would Dallas be? Especially from round 3 onward.
I just want to know how many suitors there's going to be for Hudobin when UFA hits, but dude, just amazing. I mean, I was blown away by the way Dobie did what he did. Amazing job. But again, I go back, it's like Game 1, Dallas 4, Tampa 1. No points for Pavs in that, but Goody got an assist. Game 2, Pavs would score on the tip, but they'd end up falling 3-2.
Right.
Then Game 3 was kind of a blowout. Tampa 5, Dallas 2. Pavs has an assist. That's the one that Dobie got pulled. That's also the one where Stamkos scored after playing 2:47. Then you get 2 overtime games. Dallas, the one that really I think that sticks with Dallas out of this series, Game 4, losing in overtime with Jamie Benn in the box. That's got to be a killer. Especially that was a game that Vaz looked horrible. Dallas 3 goals on 7 shots, but their PK doesn't show up. And then Game 5, it was great to see Pavelski get the 60, become get that 61st goal. And they really, I don't know, got the whistles lodged right about here.
Oh, man.
The officials. But that's fine. I'd rather see that than a penalty parade. And then, Perry scores the opener. Game-winning goal. But yeah, you gotta. I mean, if there was ever time that I guess I have to feel kind of sad for Corey Perry, I suppose it's tonight. It's a tough road to hoe, but
right.
But it would finish where Pavelski coming into this, it's 3 goals, 1 assist, a +5. I mean, you can't. That was a great pickup from Dallas, and geez, I think he had more. If he didn't have more, what did he have? Like the same amount of goals this series that he had all season with Dallas.
He had 14 regular season goals. He had 13 playoff goals for Dallas.
There you go. And I guarantee you, if this had gone 7, he probably scores 1 there. So there you go.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's amazing. And then the fact that it came down, Pavs' choices were between Dallas and Tampa. Oh, that's one that's also got to sit with you a little bit. But then again, you can't dwell on shit like that because who knows if Tampa's season goes that way if Pavelski ends up there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Tough call, but hey, you got to at least feel for Goody. And it does make you wonder if Tampa was one of the options, or at least the option that we had heard about for Joe Thornton.
Right.
But
Or Dallas, for that matter.
yeah, well, from what I understand, that's kind of yeah. But either way, congrats to Tampa. I mean, they did it. Uh, like I can't get too excited because it's like, well, once Vegas was out, they were kind of like the leader. It was
Right.
like, it's pretty much going to be Tampa, and I said it at the start of it, and I said I had Tampa in 6, but was hoping for Dallas in 7. I think Jerk was the same. So
I think we were both. I think we all had said our heart says Dallas in 7, but our brain says Tampa in 6.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was so much hope after game 1.
Seriously, we were like,
4-1 win. And you're like,
whoa.
hey now. And yeah, once they were down 3-1, it was just like, man, you're gonna have to win 3 straight. You haven't outshot this team in any single game. I'd have to go back. I think the last time I think they outshot a team was like, I don't know, like game 4 versus Vegas.
Seems like it.
Yeah. But that was their game where it was just it's quality, not quantity. And and they were so good. Hudobin was so good, but they were locked down really well defensively. They'd almost kind of lull you to sleep. And how many, comebacks did they have? So, I mean, Dallas, I think there's a lot of people that were shocked that the Stars got this far. The smart money, I think, was if
if Vegas had gone down, then it was Colorado.
No. Colorado. I had Colorado.
Yeah.
But then again, Colorado was banged to hell, especially after losing their goalie. Was it Grubauer? And then,
Yep.
And then Vegas. I mean, nobody. The amount of people taking Dallas in that series is about that much. And so for Dallas to get past that, you just had to go, holy crap. I mean, you talk about a bunch of overachievers. And then to get here to game 6. And of course it hurts to see, Pavs twice in 4 years get, a game away, knocked out in game 6.
Yeah. You just hope it inspires him to go a little more stronger. Although I don't know what else he could have done in this postseason.
He did it all.
Yeah, I mean, he literally put, besides along with Khudobin, put the Stars on his back because Ben was here and there. Sagan wasn't anywhere to be found. I'm really curious to hear if he's got any kind of severe injury that he played through. But I mean, like you said, he had a heck of a game the other night with 3 assists. He just couldn't find the back of the net, for most of these playoffs.
Well, not a single Star could find the back of the net tonight. That's the
You're
thing.
right.
That's the killer. But again, you can't, or at least for me, I go back to, special teams. They can make a difference. There's, some people, when I bang on the drum,
Yep.
and so, special teams isn't that big of a deal or what? Well, when you get 19 opportunities and you put in 1 of them and the other team gets the same amount and they put in 7 of them, yeah, it's a difference. It's a pretty significant difference.
Yeah.
But again, I also go back to outshot. They were just straight up outshot, and that was Dallas's game. But you would, I think we're all kind of like thinking as well. It's like 2020 has been such a shit show that it's like, how does this not go to 7? Like you would think the hockey gods need this to go because of that, and it
would go like a 5 overtimes.
Caught fire halfway through the first period because that's how 2020 has been.
Oh man. Yeah, no kidding. Vasilevsky becomes like the 7th goaltender since the Sharks came into the league to have a shutout in a cup clinching game. Tampa becomes the first 90s expansion team to have multiple cups now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I mean, and outside Pat Maroon, who won the Cup last year in St. Louis, everybody on the team is a first timer for winning the Cup, which I think is pretty cool to see that these groups come together. And Raphael Snit
Pat Maroon, of all people.
Is Maroon the secret sauce, though?
Brick.
Right? It's just crazy to see. So,
Anthony, I was the one that threw Hurdle's baby shower, just to let you know.
Anybody who threw Hurdle and his wife a baby shower. You didn't invite me? What the hell, AJ?
Yeah. Not only did we do that, you know what my present to them was the 3 new jerseys that they're going to be that the Sharks will be playing in next year, because I got them completely legit. I got them from official Sharks, completely legit. If you don't know what we're talking about, check out our Twitter.
Oh, anyway. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Skylar saying Maroon to the Sharks confirmed.
Yeah, right.
Oh, boy. And we see a comment in here saying I love how you guys think this cup counts. Oh, it absolutely counts. And I think it's even tougher to say, to put these guys through, 9-10 weeks away from their families. I mean, some of them made it up to Edmonton, but that's a little taxing to be away from the usual game day scheme. You're in a hotel for 9 weeks.
I mean, it's not bad. If cleaning crews coming in every day, right. I can understand it both ways. Like, on one aspect, I can see it being difficult because you're stuck in one location for over 2 months, and you got to do a lot of FaceTime, and you're probably sick of the same 3 options for food, or you're tired of playing the same ping pong or watching the same movie or whatever the case may be. Then again, though, you have to be hyper focused. It must make it somewhat, I'm not going to say easier, but it definitely gives you a hyper focus on where you are, especially when you don't have to worry about travel or anything like that. The back-to-backs on Friday and Saturday, I thought was not the best play. Now I'm not really sure why that was. I don't know if that's just a straight NHL decision in that, well, we really don't want to compete with football Sunday, so we'll just push it up to Saturday and blah, 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 and whatever. But just to think that the Stanley Cup was handed out, and what was it? Feels like the season started about 362 days ago.
Pretty much. Very close to a full year. No,
I like Anthony. So Edmonton doesn't have strip joints.
Oh, yeah. But that
matters.
But like a Tiger said, no one broke out of the bubble for strip joint wings, so it was a positive. So that puts a book on this crazy 2019-20 season. Do I dare ask you on bets as to when the hell we're going to come back and play again? Because, they were adamant saying full season starts on December 1st. Now Bettman said at the beginning of the Cup final in his State of the League address that, okay, maybe late December, January.
Well, I think some of that has to do with the fact that they don't know what the border situation is going to be like between the U.S. and Canada.
Yeah, and I just wonder about some of these theories that have come out, and like it did when COVID shut down the league. What could they do? Could they do a Canadian division? Do you mix up the divisions just to get things going? Do you play in front of partial fans? All these crazy questions to answer right now.
No idea. I would, if I'm forced to put money on it, I'd probably say mid-January, somewhere in there, to at least have something going. But then again, who knows? You can look at it from an optimistic perspective, and hey, there's been some fantastic scientific breakthrough, and we're able to vaccinate or inoculate a whole bunch of people. We've had some vaccination come through, and we're all very excited, and we all can open up bars and do like live life again. Or it could go the opposite way, and once the weather starts getting poor, because, you know, dear leader said that this whole thing would miraculously disappear in April. We all know how that went. So taking him at his word about a vaccine coming before the end of this year. But if something can, my whole thing is when the weather starts getting poor again, when people tend to start getting sick, are we going to have another, is the curve going to go back up?
Right.
And if that happens, all bets are off, man. You could potentially lose all of next season. I know they want to start it, but and the one thing we should say, I mean, huge stick taps to Bettman and the NHL for actually being able to get this off. Was something like 32,000 tests, not a single positive. That is something to behold. And it was a great idea to finish this all off in Edmonton, because from what I understand, Toronto is not doing that great right now when it comes to COVID. So the fact that they were able to pull all this off and not have a single positive test, amazing. So that, again, if I had to bet on it, I'd say middle January, but I think that's an insanely optimistic outlook.
And the tough part too is throwing the TV deal with NBC, because they go to Tokyo to make up the Olympics in July. So you wonder how many resources they use, or they just take. They're like, screw it, we're just going to take the Sportsnet feed and then keep Mike Emmerich in his house and not have him go to Tokyo. I mean, so
God bless you, Sportsnet feed.
So I mean that's another situation to throw in. And you mentioned how great the bubbles work. Do they do like 4 to 6 places and do like 2-week mini bubbles and get games in like that, and then like have them take bye weeks here and there? I mean, we've heard a bunch of things. I know we don't know anything specifically, and I know you're not a doctor, nor do you play one on YouTube. What do you think would be the ideal thing? I mean, playing with
a vaccine. You asked.
Okay, so besides vaccine, you brat. Besides a vaccine, but hockey-wise, do they play in front of no barns like MLB did, or go?
I think they're going to look at how things work with football right now. How some teams are letting in patches of fans. Again, I still don't understand how they determine who gets those tickets. I would assume that season tickets get like first right of refusal on those. Because I'm quite sure that there's probably a patch of season ticket holders that are just like, yeah, I'm not going to a game until like there's a vaccine, or that I will feel safe.
Yeah.
There's some people that are going to have that. Then you're probably going to have the flat earthers out there. They're like, yeah, sure, I want to go, and screw a mask and blah, blah, blah. So it's, I don't know how you make that determination. Hey, they're making all these upgrades to the tank right now. I mean, let's get some hella air filtration up in there, right? Like better than a casino.
Right.
But look, optimistically, I think mid-January. I don't think that's realistic at this point, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, I think I know Jerk was getting excited because he was going to go to the Winter Classic. I think that's probably going to go out the wayside. I mean, it would be a great idea to start your season with the Winter Classic outdoors to kind of get some pub going, but I don't see any fans going if that's the case. But remains to be seen for that. But now the Cup's been awarded, AJ, and now probably one of the more crazier off seasons it's about to begin. In fact, these next 10 days, 2 weeks with the draft, you have a flat cap So GMs are going to be scrambling. You're going to have free agency. Uh, I mean, we already seen some moves especially with Florida and Pittsburgh and Toronto. I mean, what can Doug Wilson do now?
Pray. Ugh. um, I honestly, I'm on record. Like, if he's not able to move Burns, I don't see how he can realistically dig himself out of the hole that he's created. I mean, if you get a Toffoli or I don't know, a Dananoff or so, I mean, if you can pull in somebody that could, because again, I still say that the Sharks have a top 4 right now, not a top 6. Or I guess a 4.5 if you kind of count on LeBanc, but you still need that top line guy. I don't know how the Sharks have to address that. They're going to have to address the situation with Marlowe and Thornton as to how they're going to do that. Maybe it's a case of, well, I was going to say, maybe it's a case of Wilson says, you know what, Thornton, we've really appreciated everything you've done, but we feel it's time to move on or whatever. But then that would directly contradict what he said, I don't know, a year ago, where he said there will always be a place for Jumbo here, whether that's as a player or this or that or whatever. So that would kind of contradict things. The other thing, too, let's see the situation with LeBanc.
Yep.
Because it was interesting point. I can't remember if it was 31 Thoughts or if it was Serious, but
I think it was 31 Thoughts.
Well, they broached the idea of if you don't do right by LeBanc, now is that a 2 or 3 whatever gets him, like a bridge deal that gets him to UFA. You could try to come up with something like that, but Chief did you a huge solid by taking only $1 million. Now, did he play like $1 million player last season? Yes. He did not play like a $3 or $4 million
minus
player.
33 much.
Yeah. So, but the thing is that I can try to see this from both perspectives. Doug Wilson could come in and say, well, you know what? No one saw COVID coming. No one saw it could have predicted anything like what has happened in 2020. That the flat cap. So, Kevin, you need to take all of this in account when I, give you this deal that you may be offended by or whatever. Or Wilson does try to do right by the guy. It's just, I mean, if you throw in the whole COVID thing and he tries to say, well, we're not going to give you as much as I had hoped because of this, then maybe it's kind of like, well, Wilson is not a man of his word. And then that starts to be a reputational thing. I don't know. We're all on the outside looking in, but it's obviously not a good look. I mean,
right.
Again, I think Jerk said, you give him, I don't know, 3 by 3.
I think that's what he said.
Something like that. Yeah. You do 3 by 3 to get him to UFA, and if he's doing okay, and then you talk about something when he's going to hit UFA, and if it's not working, bye. You trade him or let him walk, whatever. I mean, obviously you would hope to try to get some sort of value or asset for him, but I don't know. I still go back to Brent Burns. If you've made your bed with Erik Karlsson.
Yep.
I'm everybody knows I'm on record. I'm not a fan. I think the guy's a diva. I think he's a head case. So, but this is the direction the Sharks have chosen to go in. So if that's the case, you don't need 2 reckless defensemen on the same team. You just don't. So, I mean, they're both turnover machines. They're both offensively gifted, but they're both turnover machines. So, but we saw that blip, that like 6 weeks when Karlsson was arguably the best player in the NHL.
Yep.
Now, if he can be consistent, bring that more consistently, then yeah. But what can you do? Again, Doug Wilson's dug himself a hole with these contracts. He's got to move Burns. That's got to be job one. And I don't want to hear the word buyout, especially when it comes to Martin Jones. Like, it's not going to happen. It does. It's not going to work. At the very least, you are not going to pay him for 6 more years to do nothing.
Yeah.
So now let's see if he can get it together. If more time with Nabokov, obviously, I mean, I shouldn't say obviously, but it's pretty telltale sign. Arundel will not be wearing teal next season. So whoever comes in, hopefully it's somebody that it's good chemistry. They jive. They help push each other. Long work with Nabby, and we see the Jones of 15-16, and hopefully that's where we can go. Then if things are starting to circle the drain again next season and Jones is not looking good, then I'm thinking, okay, well, I mean, obviously trying to move him is probably not going to work, but you bench his ass, whoever you brought in to back him up as your starter, and then the offseason, then you look at a buyout. If then.
I'm with you 100%. I think you give him one more year. You try to light a fire with somebody you bring in.
Let's just say, in a perfect world, what's going to happen is they'll sign like Grice or something on a flyer, and that, because what's Grice, 35 or something like that. So you sign him on a flyer. Jones plays otherworldly, just looks amazing. And then Doug Wilson finds a trade partner, trades Jones, who's playing out of his head, gets a hellacious value, and Melnichuk is ready to go for the next decade. That's what
Hey, that would be awesome.
Right? Wouldn't that be great?
The ideal package. And we'll make sure we get this clipped and we save it for foreseen points when it happens, and be like, that's all right. AJ marked it down on September 28th, 2020. How everything was going down, and then Melnichuk will be hoisting a Stanley Cup, hopefully, in the very near future.
Well, I still think it's the hole on the right side. You got to find a solid third line center, unless you want that to be Patrick Marleau,
or you have it as Joe Thornton, where Marlowe's on your wing.
See, I don't
know if you could do 2 40-year-olds still.
I just don't. I think Marleau. Yes, this is some Pink Whitney, good eye. No, dude, I would bet that Marleau is a Shark next season before Thornton. I don't know. I still feel like all signs point that he was just real tilted about not getting moved, and the fact that he was able to move Marleau and Dylan and Goody, wasn't able to move Thornton. And again, there was a lot of speculation that there was a deal for him to be moved, and the kibosh was put on it. So I don't know exactly who put the kibosh on, but we'll see. Then again, though, like Thornton, let's be honest, is, well, you know what? I'm going to take my talents somewhere else. I'm pissed off. And it's like, okay, so out of the 30 teams, how many do you think is going to be banging down the door of a 42-year-old man? Can't imagine a lot.
Toronto, maybe. I don't know.
If I'm Toronto, I don't do that. If I'm any team, I probably don't do that. Even if he's going to come in and play for the bare minimum, whatever that is, $1 million or something like that. I don't know.
What about Bobby Ryan, who got bought out by Ottawa the other day?
I mean, dude, yeah, because you're going to get him for nothing. So, of course, if you can talk Bobby Ryan into taking coming here for peanuts, absolutely you take a flyer on that. I mean, you have nothing to lose in that deal. If it doesn't work, wave his ass. Bye. Thanks for trying.
For sure.
I would love Tyler Toffoli.
Yeah.
Dude, I would love me. Give me some Tyler Toffoli any day of the week.
And with him having ties to SoCal, that might be something that,
Yeah, wife works for the Dodgers? Absolutely.
No, freaking Dodgers. Whatever. Still bitter about yesterday in baseball.
Hey, last time I looked, San Jose is a lot closer to LA than Vancouver is.
Well, you're right. You're
Uh,
absolutely right. Um,
See, that's the thing, dude. Mike Hoffman, I would love. I think Mike Hoffman would be a great pull, but we know that that can never happen.
or we could resign my often and see how team chemistry works. We
Dude, I'm still pressed we didn't keep Mike Hoffman the first go around.
we had him for what 90 minutes and then.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't know if Mike Hoffman will be affordable for the Sharks. I don't know.
probably not. I mean, do you go after for okay, third line center? Holla,
You know, that does sound like a pretty good idea. And he spells his
right?
name the right way. You love saying Hala. I love saying Eric. So, be cool.
Dude, I would not mind me some Eric Holla on this team.
And if you get this team being healthy with Couture, Hurdle,
Carlson.
Carlson, you get Evander Kane going a little bit more. I mean, they could be right there again.
Well, squad's got to come together. And I don't want to hear any of this Ron Wilson bullshit. Well, we're going to get everybody together in Saskatoon to go curling as like a team bonding experience. F you.
What we're trying to do is bake a cake, and if you don't have all the ingredients, remember that one?
None of that BS. Like these guys need to get it together. I mean, again, they've a whole bunch of them said it. Couture said it. Martin Jones has said it. Just when things started going south, everybody, I don't know if they were pointing fingers or if they were just like not coming together, but they were all just, split apart. Does that happen if Pavelski's still in that room? I don't know. I don't think so.
No.
But, maybe it's still I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Jerk or who, but there was somebody that said that they thought Couture was not right to be a captain. Like he had done everything to deserve it.
Right.
But when you look at his in the press, in the media, when he basically called LeBanc and Myers selfish after a game because they stayed out too long on the ice. Their shift was too long, ended up going into their own net.
Buffalo. Yeah.
Like you can do that in the room. You don't do that in the national media. And so there's Couture has too much honesty, I think. And you gotta, Couture is a pretty damn good player. He would probably get a lot more pub if he played on the other coast. But I mean, an amazing player, but I don't know if he's captain material. I think Pavelski. You never heard him say anything like that. You saw the rant during the Stadium Series run up about soft shit doesn't get it done, and he was calling. He wasn't naming people by name. He was just telling people what it was. And I think that's how you can appreciate a leader like Pavelski. I don't know that Couture has that quality. And I also wasn't a fan of having 4 A's on the team. I thought that was a little silly.
Yeah, I mean the Sharks have done that in the past where they've had more than 2.
Didn't agree with it then. Don't agree with it now.
Mean, it's not
Trade Couture. Are you out of your mind?
No, they're not going to trade Couture. And he's got a limited no trade anyways, so he'll
and he's got what 7 more years. Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah. Well, like the Tiger making a great point. The media will call that out. Captain doesn't have to. Right. That's a great point.
Especially with guys like Kurz and such.
Yeah.
And for us, for that matter, in that case,
But it's funny though because it's well, who would you give a C to?
Right.
Carlson hasn't paid his dues with this team, so I wouldn't give it to him. Vlasic clearly doesn't seem to want it. I mean, I think Brent Burns is too much of a wild card to have it. I think Hurdle's. I mean, you might think about Hurdle today that he's been around long enough. I still think you have to have maybe a little more of an elder statesman. I think Kane has too much of a pissed off streak. It's Pavelski. You have to say that about the guy, man. Just no matter what, even
keeled.
Just
I
flat as a lake.
and I know you interviewed Dan Boyle, and I think we both
Oh,
you interviewed Boiler. And
that was a guy who should have had a C on
now
his sweater.
now here's the thing. He was a guy who would who would be would call out guys. Probably wouldn't do it in the media, but you could see a little bit of that in Couture, and maybe that was a teachable moment with him saying LeBanc and Meyer about that. So,
well, again, I still feel like Boyle would be a great addition for this staff in some sort of capacity. Yeah. I'd love to say whether he's working with the defense with the Barracuda because he doesn't want to travel. He prefers to stick around. So, Barracuda don't travel nearly as much as San Jose. So I can see him in some capacity, but just to be a guy that, you can bounce stuff off of. But, I mean, it's not like Couture doesn't have Pavelski's number or Thornton's number or whoever,
For sure. For sure. So these next 2 weeks are going to be quite interesting. You have the 31st and the 34th pick in the draft. You got, $14 million to play with in cap space. You need to sign a bunch of players, including a backup netminder. So it's going to be...
I mean, you don't have to sign a backup netminder. You probably need to, but you don't have to.
Bring up Cornash. There we go.
Well, I mean, dude, you've got there's like 5 guys in the pipe, man.
Ooh,
they're all like 22 right and younger, but you don't want to throw anybody to the fire and screw their head up. But I mean, there's definitely, it seems like it might be a little bit of a buyer's market, to be honest with you.
There's
although there's that whole thing out there about, well, we don't want a starter and a backup. We want a 1A and a 1B. And it's
gosh,
there are not 62 1As and 1Bs out there. Sorry.
We wish. And don't get going with like Fleury or Holtby that are out there. I like Rice. Rub a lamp if you want to go for Kudobin.
I'm dying to see what the hell happens with Fleury.
Right?
I'm dying to see what happens. Because it's like he's come out and said all the rest. Oh, I would love to stay in Vegas. I really loved it here and blah blah. And last time I checked, if my memory serves, which it doesn't always, but if memory serves, I think Fleury was the first guy I ever saw in a Vegas sweater.
Yep.
And so big kind of a fan favorite. Boy, if he gets done like that within 3 years, he comes in face of the franchise, backstops them all the way to a final appearance, and then basically gets a boot up his ass 3 years later, like, thanks, but bye. And dude, and even if they do say, okay, well, we'll keep him around or whatever, but Leonard's the clear starter. Fleury doesn't want to, Fleury wants to be a number one. If you have a competitive streak in you whatsoever, you want to be a number one. So I'm real interested because there's a faction of Vegas fans who seem to have kind of turned on the front office a little bit of the way that they've handled some of their players.
Well, I mean,
so it's like, welcome to the NHL.
Yeah. Yeah. You're now seeing how everything happens. You don't get the first year. Oh, we get to go to a cup final every year. What do you mean we got screwed year 2? I mean, our economy just lost a boatload of money because we didn't advance. Oh my God. But
whoop-de-doo.
Yeah. So let's see here. Becker took some pictures of construction today.
Oh, Lacey's saying he thinks Fleury goes to Calgary. I can see Calgary or Edmonton, to be honest.
So Fleury for Johnny Gaudreau.
Who's taking that deal? No, but the other thing that I want to see what happens with the goalie situation in Vegas. I'm also real interested to see what happens between Markstrom and Demko in Vancouver. That's going to be a fun one.
Oh, yes.
Going to be very fun.
That one's going to be really interesting. And then out of nowhere, where did all this stuff about Eichel come up? I mean, even Bob McKenzie came out of lounging in his cottage to say, nothing's going on.
Is Eichel driving this? Or is
No,
this Buffalo putting into the press trying to say, hey, we would prefer to trade you so we can get other pieces or something? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe this is Buffalo. We know how close we are to the draft. Maybe this is Buffalo just kind of stirring the pot a little bit just to see if somebody comes at them with something silly. But how is somebody going to get silly when you have a flat cap for a couple years? That's what I don't get.
right, right, and then Winnipeg about Patrick Laine. You're giving up on him like 3 years in.
That one too.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, the draft is next Tuesday and Wednesday. Free agency next Friday. It's gonna be just crazy with speculation of the yin yang, and I am living for it. So, with that, AJ, anything else we should talk about before we get out of here?
I thought you were going to show some photos.
Oh, you want me to show photos? I could show photos of dirt.
I don't give a shit.
Okay.
But sure, why not?
Why not? And if you haven't, join us in the chat on the YouTube page or the app. But yeah, Jonathan Becker tweeted out some photos of like this would be the fifth rink.
Oh, is that what that is? I thought that's the funeral where they're burying the 1920 Shark season. Is that what that is?
Oh boy. But yeah, and that was the far rink that they're adding on, so the fifth rink, and then this would be, if I'm not mistaken, where the Barracuda rink would be at. And I love how it already has like the outline. Of the rink, which I think is pretty cool. Now this one I was interested in. Well, this is the backside of where that fifth rink would go, where the players,
AKA Cinder Joe's, like where he gets his mail. But go ahead.
Oh boy. But I'm wondering, while this is all happening, where are the players going to park?
Dude, they'll be fine.
I'm sure.
I'm sure they're going to build something just perfect. It wouldn't surprise me if like there's like some sort of private garage built into this whole deal. Who knows?
Right.
So they don't have to like deal with fans after they leave practice, of course. And then you will hear a lot of fans bitch and piss and moan and complain about that, but we'll see.
Yep. Raphael Snit, thank you very much for the super chat donation to the show that never lets us down. Appreciate the kudos, but like a tiger, come on. You can see in the back corner there is EK65 scrolling.
There you go. It's all that patchwork back there.
Oh man.
I want to know though that like once this is all completed, like I was already wondering the impact that this was going to have in a pre-COVID world on the San Jose Giants. I want to know, is this going to accelerate any changes that they might have been considering? Because initially when all of this shit came out like 2 years ago,
right?
And I've got the receipts. Go look at tealtownusa.com. My first article's on there, and it's from like a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. And there contains some video of someone from San Jose State kind of outlining this whole thing of what they had planned. It included the multi-level garage that is almost complete. Right. That's across the street from Solar for America, kind of in between Solar for America and the San Jose State football stadium. That's going to be a multi-use garage. But you have that. But part of those plans was moving Municipal Stadium and building a new facility for the San Jose Giants down basically a block. I think it was like the corner of 10th and Humboldt or something.
Yeah, or even we even heard like talks of like in the fairgrounds that they're going to put them in there.
I believe that was bandied about, but from San Jose State's perspective, it looks like they want to move it there, because I could also see them wanting to keep that close to San Jose State too, because it's it's cheap entertainment for San Jose State students. Obviously the fairgrounds a little bit more of a pain in the ass to get to, but San Jose State, you can that's a mile walk or so from campus. So you can walk down to San Jose State, or you take a little scooter. But I think that would be fantastic. and it potentially gives you an option for certain games for if I don't, does San Jose State have some sort of baseball
Yeah, they
team?
do. They actually use Municipal Stadium for it.
There you go. So you'd have a nicer facility. Maybe you hook up that barbecue guy with some,
Oh,
a nicer place to do his shop his wares. But I would love to see that. I mean, Municipal Stadium, it's very cute, but it's a hole. It's a very cute hole.
yeah. No, well,
It's
those are fun times. Those are fun times with at San Jose Giants games, and those churros. Yeah,
oh, dude, the beer batter, everything's about it. It's great, but just once all of the expansion of Solar for America is completed, all of a sudden that parking lot for that shared parking lot between both of these facilities gets really small.
yeah.
And granted, there's a garage across the way, but still going to be quite small. So wouldn't it be great if Municipal moved a block or so away to a nice spanking brand new facility that was gorgeous and much more current.
A mini
You
Oracle
still want to
Park.
have maybe, but you still. I mean, yeah, but you can't do it. What are you going to try to recreate a cove? You can't do that. But
No, I mean just the
the
stadium itself.
yeah, but that's the it's one of the things about it that's so amazing. But if you do
It's true.
something that smaller scale, but you do something real nice, but then it frees up all that space so you can just level that ballpark, and bada bing, bada boom. Now you've got extra parking because I mean, dude, you've got games. Lacey, what's the latest game you've ever started at Solar for America? Like what start time of like 11:30 at
Yeah,
night?
like 10:30. I think I know when we've talked about having him on, he's like 10:30 for his
Yeah,
rinks.
but well, I was going to say, but it depends on what the games before him, how long they
Right.
ran. I know that there were times when I was doing softball at Twin Creeks, we'd sometimes get pushed back. But you've got games being played at like 5:30 in the morning there, and so the demand for ice time is high. So
You start wondering maybe if you start building
you look at
another.
that, 11:15.
Yeah, and maybe you start building for another rink in different part of San Jose. Because if the ice is in demand that much, I mean, yeah, they have something up in Fremont and Oakland, but maybe you look somewhere else because you need the space. And secondly, how I mean, let's say Kevin has an 11:15 game and the Barracuda are playing till 10 o'clock. Good luck trying to find a parking spot and trying to push through everybody to get up there
Yeah,
for a game.
that's what I'm saying. So it'd be nice to have that extra parking um, on top of municipal. That would be fantastic.
Yep.
That again though, that's I don't know how involved the city is with all of this, but right now San Jose has a mayor who is very anti-car, I guess is the best way I can put that. Is anti-parking, is anti-car, his whole thing, the future is public transportation and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, if that's the future, how come no one's using it now?
Yeah.
Like, don't you have to get to that point? Like, light rail is one of the aside from like a couple lines that are used, a decent amount. Dude, I don't know how many times I see light rail cars going by, and there's no one on the damn things because they don't go anywhere to anywhere anybody wants to go. And then, he does all these road diets where it's like, okay, I know it's 3 lanes going this way, but let's make it 2 and then a protected bike lane that no one's going to use except homeless people with their shopping carts. Let's do that. And dude, I used part of my commute included a large part of 10th and 11th Street. And for those of you who don't know, both of those streets are one way, and for a very long time it was 3 lanes. 10th goes this way, 11th goes that way, and that's the way it was. And then whatever it was 7-8 years ago, they said, no, let's make it 2 lanes, but then we're gonna have a protected bike lane. Dude, I drove that. I started counting every day on the way to work, on the way home, dude. You know how many people I would see using that bicycle lane in an average week? One. One. I could go 3 straight days not see anybody using the bike lane as an actual bike lane.
Yeah, and oh, and Jerk chiming in, and Jerk, good to see you, bud. I'll have you know, I've been known to ride a Lime scooter in those bike lanes every now and again, and
Yeah, and
same
if
here
I
for
saw
me.
more people, yeah, me too. And if I saw more people doing it, I would say absolutely. But again, Licardo is, I
Uh,
don't know where his head's at half the time, but the whole thing is like you have to build these, connectors. You need to connect people to actually where they want to go.
yeah, but
Not to just, oh, this looks like a fun thing. We got room. Let's just make a VTA line here that goes to nowhere anybody wants to go. But doesn't it look great?
right, Kevin saying that one was probably me. LOL.
Oh, there you go. The again, you have to see. Let me see. Lacey, you're probably a good one to ask. So, how easy is it for you to take all of your hockey gear on a scooter or a bicycle to Solar for America? Pretty simple, or is it something you need a car for?
That would be a little rough to do. To balance
This is
balance balance on a scooter with what, 30 pounds of hockey gear,
and this is what I'm
especially
saying.
afterwards.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. So it's like you have to like take things like that into account. We want all these people to come here, but use public transportation. You think Kevin Lacey's going to be carrying around 2 bags of shit, like pads and sticks and skates and all that on a bus? Get the hell out of here.
We've got roads, the best roads.
Oh,
Jerk chiming in. The idea is to encourage people to ditch the car in place of public transit and bikes. Only problem is there's no incentive, and VTA isn't efficient all the time.
you're right.
Yep,
No,
completely right.
yeah, that's the whole thing. And they keep place I used to park when I'd go to Sharks games was free, and then they started charging for it. So now I park somewhere else
Yep.
that's cheaper, or but I don't know. Lecard, that's what I think is so funny. And then think about how bad it's going to get once Googleville arrives around SAP.
And when they start doing construction on BART,
Oh,
eventually, whenever the hell that's gonna be.
dude, I would bet. I swear to God, I would bet that uh, that we see a shovel go in the ground for a new Sharks arena before Bart makes it to SAP Center.
Damn. And the thing is once Google's there, where else could you put a Sharks arena?
But they keep moving it. They keep pushing out the timeline for Bart. Hell, the Milpita station that they literally, or Berryessa, that they literally just opened up like 3 weeks ago, was supposed to be opened up 2 years ago.
And it stood there for some reason. I don't get
Testing. It's all about testing.
how much testing do you need to do? I
That's
don't.
what I'm saying.
All right. Well, so this is the platform that AJ Strong will begin his candidacy for San Jose mayor.
Yeah, you got my graphic? Throw my graphic up there.
Do I? I'm not sure if I do.
For a stronger tomorrow.
Oh, yes.
Hey, now.
All right.
I'm kidding. Put that shit away.
All right. We'll be working on it in the off season for that.
3 years, actually. See, exactly. I'm so tired of this shit.
Anyhow. All right. With that, I think
If we don't have hockey by like Valentine's Day of next year, I'm cashing in the chips. I'm moving to Half Moon Bay or something. I've had it.
Well, at least it'll be a little cooler for you.
And go watch surfers.
Cowabunga, dude. All right. With that, in case I actually have one more list, and then we'll get out of here.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Hey, I came. You said I didn't come prepared. I came prepared. The ultimate post-Teal syndrome. These were these were Sharks first, and then they went on to win a cup with another team. We go from Ozelinch, and then Igor won. 3. Ed Belfour won a cup. I mean, Tony Herkis, original Shark, won a cup. Backup Tris Terreri. The two on the bottom, I think, are near and dear to both of our hearts. Jeff Friesen won it in New Jersey in 2003, had 5 goals in that cup final. Ray Whitney won it with Brett Hedican in...
Fun fact, The guy that Jeff Friesen got traded for ended up winning it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not wearing teal.
And that's on the next page. Teemu Selanne won in 07. Brad Stewart, who Joe Thornton got traded for or part of, won it, with Mikkel Samuelsson. And then the painful parts. Bill Guerin, 2 years before that, was a Shark.
Campbell.
2 years before that was a Shark. Michael Handzus, Jamal Mayers won it for Chicago. Andrew Desjardins, and now Barclay Goodrow.
I look at this list and I'm like, you know what? Selanne had a hell of a career. Fine.
Yeah.
Brad Stewart, loved him before the Shelley hit. He was always different after that.
Yeah.
Samuelsson, but Bill Guerin, it's like, oh, you filthy bastard. Brian Campbell, you filthy bastard. Michael Handzus, you cheating bastard. but Jamal, Andrew, and Goody, I'm like, good for them.
Yeah, good for them. I mean, yes, we would love to have seen Pavs, lift the cup up, but Goody was always a goody, and
Alden pointing it out, like I said earlier. Where do you wait for players after practice now with the new facility? It's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Although, in a post-COVID world, there might be big signs that actually say, players do not come out or players will not sign. That's my whole thing. What's it going to be like? I mean, obviously, we're all hoping that it's a vaccine and eventually we get a handle on it and it's no worse than, getting a cold. But until that point, it's like, can you see a team holding anything like a fan fest? That's going to be a no from me, dog.
Yeah. I mean, you have to worry about your own players that you've paid millions of dollars worth.
Absolutely.
I mean, you don't want like some random kid who has boogers in his nose go up and high five Tomas Hertl, and next thing you know, something like that happens, and it sucks because you want to have that personal, tie-in with the team, and honestly, you're gonna end up having some stuff on Zoom. And that's a tough part because you want to have that connection with the community. More than anything, AJ, the Barracuda especially because there is that close knit minor league feel to it, and the same thing with like the San Jose Giants too. It's gonna be tough.
Gonna suck ass.
Yeah. So, all questions that will remain in probably one of the most intriguing and interesting off seasons in quite some time. Alden, completely with you. And this isn't just with Tampa. This was with almost like a half of an arena in Dallas. How about that super spreader event, watch party in Tampa Bay? They had people outside and inside. It's like,
I mean, let's hope that we don't see some like explosion in those areas in the next 2 weeks.
And the parade.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Right?
It makes you wonder because Florida, DeSantis has been an absolute nightmare for Florida. So it makes you wonder, will they hold? Will Tampa decide that, what? For the safety of it, we're not going to hold an event.
Yeah.
We're not going to have a parade for this.
Yeah.
Remains to be seen, but I don't know. Stupid if things have happened.
Yeah, that's for sure. So with that, brings to close to After Dark for the 1920 season. We've been doing this for like 9 weeks. So for those of you who've been along with the ride, appreciate it. Thank you very much. Kevin, you're right on the money. Draft coverage next week. We'll have Free Agent Frenzy fun next week. So that'll be awesome.
I love you, jerk.
Florida's open. Wait, I'm confused. AJ, does Tampa winning the cup make our first from Tampa better?
And he's asking that because there was somebody who I think tweeted at the Teal Town account that said, I'm really pulling for Goody because it also makes our pick better. And I'm going, okay, you don't understand how this works.
No,
that's
to make
that's
our pick better. Columbus would have to repeat their upset again. So,
well, see, I think I'm going to give, and I try to do this on Twitter, I'm going to give the person the benefit of the doubt and I want to say that maybe they were conflating it with like Dylan or Marlowe, and that they thought that if the person won the cup, that the pick did get better, like it would have
Right.
if Dylan or Marlowe got the. So I want to give the person the benefit of
sure.
the doubt.
Sure. So, all right. With that, we will bring this to a close. In case you missed anything or want to watch this again, check us out at Teal Town News.
God, who would want to do that?
Hey, we have nothing to talk about outside the draft and free agency coming up for, 3 months. Holy crap! What the hell are we gonna do?
There will be a new pucknologist sometime between now and Sunday. It might be all the way until Sunday, but we might have to go early since the cup was wrapped up early. But I'll have to clear that with my people.
So check us out on your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on the SoundCloud. Hit us up on Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and of course, always available at tealtownusa.com. Jerk with one comment here. Picking 31. Oh, man, a little late. That's useless. Picking 32. Oh, yeah. Beginning of round 2.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. So, Bud, we've been doing this for a number of years. I know you put up with a bunch of my crap. I appreciate you doing this. So, your final thoughts on where the people can find you.
At this point, I don't want anybody to find me. AJ_strong on the social media. I'm tired of saying that. Final thoughts again. Congrats, Goody. That if it couldn't be Pavs, I guess it's okay that it's you. At least some, you gave Sharks fans at least a hint of a reason to cheer for something tonight. My final thought. There's an awful lot of jerk-offs on the San Jose Sharks fan Facebook page that have been bitching and moaning and whining and complaining about there's too many. When did this turn into a Pavelski fan page? And why are all these people on here talking about Pavelski? Because he was beloved, you fucking dumbass. That's why. He was the captain of the Sharks. Like, you can still root for a guy even though he isn't on your team. So, deal with it. But aside from that, the rest of them are quite nice people. Quite delightful. There's a small faction that need to be informed, shall we say.
Oh, jeez. All right. And I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. Appreciate each and every one of you sticking with us through the pause with all the interviews that AJ and I did. More so AJ, of course. Pucknologist, again, will come up later this week. We will have draft coverage, free agency coverage, and trust us, we will be missing way too much hockey. So when we ever can get some stuff out to you, we will. So thank you for watching. Hit us up on the Twitter and the Instagram. Hit us up with all our interviews that we did during the pause, and I guess continuing on with the pause.
Before that, I just have a word for jerk.
Go ahead.
Convoluted. There you go.
I know words that are best words. And until...
Venmo? No, but you know what? We do need to put our Venmo on the website, but if you would like to... for the... who's the gentleman that hit us up earlier for the $4.99?
Raphael.
Raphael. Totally appreciate that.
Of course.
Totally appreciate it when someone gives us when someone sends in a super chat donation. However, when you do send those in, Google takes a chunk of it. So if you would like to just Venmo us directly where we get 100% of your donation, that is awesome. And our Venmo account, like everything else, at Teal Town USA. Yep. So if you want to help support the show, that would be killer.
Yep. Jerk is already requesting the 5th edition of Jersey Dragon KHL Jersey Top 10. I'm already calling it right now. Sochi, number 1.
And that is going to be a AJ Lesh show.
Oh, man. All right. AJ, thank you, bud.
I will moderate that.
Okay.
That's all.
I appreciate that. Thank you as always, bud. All the best. Pucknologist later this week. Draft and free agency coverage next week. And until then, keep it...
Oh, one final thing.
Oh, okay.
how awful were those Fanatics championships hats?
Dude.
Man, those things suck.
Man, but
They were so bland, dude. I've seen toilet paper that have better designs.
so what you're
Dude.
saying is I should put an application in to work for Fanatics on their hat designs, or just, you know what, give it to our buddy Bottomer at Adidas. I think that'd be a lot better. You know, I thought
Dude,
the conference champions hats were worse.
hat was so well, yeah, because the conference championships hat were just a single color. So yeah, I can do that. But I cannot believe how bland they were. It was, yeah, just give us a whole bunch of that hat, and we're just going to put a patch on the front of it.
Did you see?
And you know what? Just heat press the damn thing. Nobody needs stitching.
Did you see the shirts? I don't think they had the shirts on, but
I haven't seen the shirts yet. Let me hold on. Let me bring up the website real quick.
there you go.
Oh, let me see these things. Oops. What is it? NHL shop, right?
Sure.
See, it's not in my. I never go there, so it's not in my system. Let's take a peek here. All right. I mean,
Sure.
the gray one. It's not horrible because it's saying. I mean, it kind of goes in line with their third jersey color scheme wise, but it's still pretty goddamn bland. The one that has all the jerseys on the back, the blue one, it's fine. Like, I think you could have made the front a little more compelling, but again, when you look at both of the hats on here, the one that they wore, horrible, and then the Stanley Cup champs one, just God, no design, no creativity whatsoever.
Yep. No.
What the hat literally just said championship.
If you don't know what you're talking about, go on AJ's Twitter. Fanatics literally sent out a T-shirt that said what test.
It said like
hat.
something like testsub.psd or PDF or something. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
How could how does that go? Like, how many? I want to know how many people saw that shirt between the point that somebody spit it out, they printed it on a shirt, they don't notice that it's not like an actual logo of anything. Like, they are just so fucking out to lunch, not caring, not paying attention. How many eyes saw that before it got thrown into a box and had a shipping label slapped onto it?
It's just bad.
And then the poor bastard who gets that, and they're expecting whatever, like a Tampa Bay Buccaneers shirt or something like that, and they get that of all things.
Think if that was like a Tampa Bay Lightning championship shirt. You're excited. You get to get that and get that, show it off to everything, and then you get test_shirt_PDF.
Dude, what if that was like if that was a Tampa West Coast or East Coast or Eastern Conference championship? Ugh. Yeah. Oh, see, Lacey just saw the top. Dude, go look at my Twitter, guys. I'm telling
definitely.
you. The amount of eyes that must have seen this and they still didn't catch it. I don't know what's happening.
Like icing on the power play, Fanatics is never good.
Dude, you_tried.ping. Yes.
Right.
I liked it.
All right. With that, AJ, thank you as always. To our whole crew, thank you very much. And until next time, Pucknologists later in the week, draft and free agency coverage next week. Keep it real. Keep it teal. Keep it real, Teal. Take care, everyone. Have a great night.